Quite a familiar face he is today. You may have seen him during Britain's Got Talent on your TV screens. This Saturday on Traktion, we hang out with none other than Daliso Chaponda, a Malawian-born Zambian comedian who is based in United Kingdom, doing his art from all across the cruise ship.
What's your name?
My name is Daliso Chaponda.
That's an amazing name.
That's a Malawian name.
Malawian?
Yes. So I'm from Malawi, but I live in Manchester.
Why have you come on Britain's Got Talent?
I've come to make the people laugh. I am a comedian.
Were your parents disappointed that one of you was a comedian, one of you was a doctor?
They were absolutely horrified because I was studying computer programming, so I had a future. And I just decided, no, let me be a clown.
This is why we make shows like this, to find people like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Today on the show, I host a Malawian-born Zambian, now English comedian, based in the UK and calls himself a citizen of nowhere. Yes, Daliso Chaponda can't stop making me laugh. I hope you enjoy Daliso Chaponda's story. My driver in Leeds, Nick, say hi.
Nick, say hi.
Come on.
I can't say anything else. It's really difficult. Men can't multitask. I'm trying to drive and think, and then to talk, it's like very difficult.
How are you enjoying your summer?
I'm enjoying
rainy summer.
I'm enjoying the summer. We have 4 weeks of summer, I think, in England, and the rest of the time, yeah, just miserable. That's why we all want to live abroad, in Kenya.
Oh, in Kenya, really?
Maybe, yeah, yeah. I'm just waiting for the invitation.
Oh, the invitation is coming soon. So I'm going to meet up with Daliso Chaponda. I'm right now in Leeds and it's raining like crazy. The weather has been so terrible, but guess what? I can't stop our interview, so here I am on my way, even with the bad weather, hoping that we don't have to cancel this interview. So come with me.
You are really on time, so thanks for making the time.
I got to the UK and you're busy running around on tours and going to countries. Do you have somebody arranging that calendar for you? Because it's massive, working by yourself.
No,
Tell me about it.
I've got 3 agents so I've got a TV and radio agent, I've got an agent for live shows, and I've got an agent for corporates. But again, I'm living in a little rarefied bubble because I'm a semi-famous comedian. Actually, in Africa, I'm famous, right?
Yeah.
In Africa, I'm A-list. In UK, I'm C-list. But I have the privilege of having a lot of people demanding my work. But I know a lot of comedians who've had to take on a second job because it's struggling right now. But hopefully, I'm hoping the next few years are gonna get better. And also, I have a few people. We're building a little African comedy club. So things are coming. Things are coming.
And married people forget how horrible it is being single. They do. They love to call their single friends and complain about their couple problems. I always get, you are so lucky being single. I get home, my wife just starts nagging, nag, nag, nag. I'm like, hey, I have to nag myself. I get home, I'm like, why do I come home so late? Why don't I ever do the dishes? Sometimes I think I don't appreciate myself. Should I? No, I've got a headache.
There's that perception about somebody being so famous in Africa or in their own home country. And I'm thinking that whenever they fly out, people will be, asking for autographs and taking selfie with them. They forget that was just home. Tell me about your shocker when you got to the UK.
No, I'll tell you what's weird though.
Yeah.
Is that I'm more well known in African countries. I make more money
In African countries. Oh, great.
So it's a weird thing where when I do a tour in the UK, I do 400 seaters. When I do it in African countries, I do 1,000 seaters. But I make more money from the 400 people than the 1,000. And that's the problem of exchange rates and income and what you can charge a person in Oxford, which you can't charge a person in Lusaka. And so there are all kinds of practical reasons why I live here. Like people always say to me, like, wait, everyone knows you in Malawi, but you live in England?
Yeah.
And it's because practically, also Malawi, people are poor. I mean,
Generally,
yeah. Like if I don't do my show on payday, people can't afford the tickets. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a reality that the poverty in certain African countries impacts the arts in a way like it's hard for artists to make a living, but you can do it. But you just have to do it slightly differently. Like I'll give you an example. I was doing shows in Zimbabwe, and I noticed that all the comedians were talking about very depressing things like landmines and AIDS. And I was like, guys, why do you talk about this? And they're like, well, the only way we get paid is we do a show for UNAIDS or we do a show for the Wellcome Trust. So their subject matter is affected by the fact that you can only get money from these NGOs.
Organizations,
Well,
yeah.
here I can write a joke about anything. But,
how has the UK market received you?
well, I've got a radio show here. I've got a very big audience here. It's very good. I'm very accepted here. So that's why I live here. I enjoy it a lot.
What was your shocker when you first set foot here?
That there's cold. That also, I mean, there was a lot of ignorance, which is a little bit different than racism. So not hate, but ignorance, like, oh, you speak good English, like, and that kind of, the people will say things like, assume that because I'm from Africa, I must.
You don't speak English.
No, even they'll have in their head that you grew up in some kind of village with flies and poverty. While I'm like, I went to a private school.
No,
You know what
I think you should be telling them like, your mode of transport was like a lion or
I make fun of that. So what I often do in my shows is I'll make fun of their assumptions, but by the end of the show, I tell them about the real Africa, right? So, and I often feel like what's advantage I have is that I don't fit any of the stereotypes. So they'll have them when they sit down, but by the time they leave the room, I've shown them a bit of the diversity in Africa.
I live in England, and they know nothing about Africa. The only thing they know about Malawi is Madonna stole a baby. I miss my little brother.
Have you had any worse of experience, when you are in the the developed countries?
Oh yes, no.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
Drunken racists say stupid stuff. It's usually drunk people, because I think that the UK, for example, has got to the point that even if people have racist viewpoints, they know not to say them aloud.
They just
Right?
keep them
They keep
into
them inside.
themselves.
But when they get drunk and it's late, you'll get it. So like, I've been on a train and had people say racist stuff, but I'm an adult. When I was 12, that could hurt my feelings. Now I just laugh. These knives don't hurt me anymore because I'm an adult, but it's still a shame that such ignorance exists.
Yeah, it's a shame, and I think there's that bit that we are really lucky to be. I usually say, as Africans, we are so strong that some things really don't bring us down as much. And so, tell me about you and your family. Are you seeing anybody? Are you dating?
Oh, yes.
Any
yes,
kids?
yes. Oh, no kids, kids, but like, I date. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but I travel a lot, which is very hard. We need very tolerant, patient women. And
So do you have that tolerant, patient woman
I
now?
currently do not have a tolerant, patient woman, but I did have one. But the truth is, I love my performing, and I'm always going to perform it. So unless you have someone who travels around with you, women get tired.
Women get tired.
You couldn't have a relationship on the phone all the time.
Well, come on. If she loves traveling, then why not? I mean, it's about...
No. I've done it, and I talk about this a lot in my show.
Yeah.
I've had relationships with people who came along for the ride, but there's always a point when they've got a life, they've got a family.
Yeah.
And so as I get older, I'll probably travel less, and then I'll have more conventional relationships.
What has been for you, in terms of relationship? What challenges have you faced? And what would you advise, your fellow comedians and anyone, in the entertainment industry? Because it's not just comedians.
Part of the problem is you need to be there. So the number one thing people want a relationship with is they want you to be there. Availability. And I'm not often available, so that's been a challenge sometimes. Also, I put our relationship into my jokes, and not the women want to hear that. I remember doing a joke about a girlfriend who I was with, about her and her family. And it was a very funny joke. The crowd laughed, but one person in the room was not laughing.
The person you are talking about.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
She was not ready to hear that about her. And so, but at the same time, it was such a funny joke. I have no regret. We went on a date. I'll talk about it the next day. If it's funny, I have to talk about it.
But I was telling you that I'm single, but I wasn't always. I was with a beautiful woman called Nicole. We're together 5 years, but we always used to argue. She felt I wasn't ambitious enough. She always be, you're a comedian, huh? Why aren't you more ambitious? Why don't you have your own TV show like Churchill? Why? Be more ambitious. I said, come on. I try my best. I love my life. I'm happy. She said, no, you're not happy. I said, I think I'm happy. She said, no, you need to be more ambitious. I did not sign up for somebody who's going nowhere. I snapped. I told her, look, you knew I wasn't ambitious the day we met. Of all the women in the bar, I approached you.
Can't help it. But again, as I get older, I'm shifting my priorities. I'm still at the point where a traveling nomad life works for me, but I know that at 60, I probably won't be doing this. So I'm enjoying this while I'm doing it, and I might just, end up in one country with a theater which I run or something like that.
How old are you right now?
How old am I?
Yeah.
What?
Men tell their ages. It's not like ladies.
No, it's true. I'm 42.
You're 42. Don't you
I'll
have...
tell you what's funny, Mike. You know what the top 2 Google searches about me are?
What? How old?
No,
How
no,
old is Daliso Chaponda?
No. Daliso Chaponda net worth. That's question number 2. Daliso Chaponda single. So there's some.
So guys are looking for you. Why are you still? Yeah. Come on, Daliso. It's not about gold diggers.
I like gold diggers. Like I don't have muscles, but I've got money. So I'm glad that the gold diggers are.
Look at you. People want to know so that they can see what they're getting
These are
into.
literally the number 1 and number 2.
I thought it would be like, is Daliso Chaponda married or something?
That's not.
How many kids? Guys?
There you go.
Yeah.
Those are the top 3 questions.
You're African. Are your parents still?
Africans also, they've got an issue with this. Because I remember I met a woman and she was like, do you have kids? I said, no, I don't have kids. She said, do you want kids? I said, I don't want kids. And she said, but then what will happen to the money?
Where will your money go to?
I'm like, I will use it. No.
But you need kids.
You gotta have kids to give the money. And
No, you could have told her, I only need you to have my money. I mean, every woman would be happy to hear that. You're African. Are your parents still alive?
yes.
Are they
Yeah.
not giving you pressure, Daliso, one grandkids and stuff like that?
I have 3 brothers. Between them, they have already produced 9 kids. Okay, so my parents, each for grandparents, a grandkid is totally satiated. I mean, they'll still ask and be concerned, but they won't just like, oh, Daliso's happy. I'm happy, so it's fine.
So what do you think about you not wanting to have kids? Could it be, the environment or, the extensive travel? What is it that has affected you, man?
I think this is an interesting thing. People assume that they're happy is everyone else's happy,
Yeah.
right? But like for one person, having 6 kids in a big house is happy.
That is
For another
too much,
person-
though.
And you see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you
that is too
felt
much.
the pain as I told you that. You see? So
Yeah.
that's not your happy, right? And so for another person, happy is being alone, but traveling the world.
Just having the freedom.
Having the freedom,
Yeah.
and I think this is the thing, is like, we're all trying to search for our happy. And the problem is trying to find someone who it's compatible. Because my ex wanted lots of babies, and I didn't. Hence ex.
What do you enjoy so far about, your stay in this part of the world?
I love sort of just the ease of it. So it's things like the safety. When I was doing shows in South Africa, it was wonderful. But,
Were you in Johannes,
I
in
was
Cape Town or
Johannesburg.
something? Oh.
But like past like 9 p.m., I'm not walking around on the streets. I've done a show in England and in Manchester, it ended at 11 and I walked home. I would never do that in somewhere like South Africa. Also, the lights are on and there's no chance of load shedding. And so there's a lot of just sort of comfort and efficiency, which is appreciated here, but I do miss the energy and the laughter and the music of Malawi and Kenya and Zambia. But that's why I'm performing in Africa a lot, because I feel like I'm in England for practical reasons, but my soul is still in Africa.
Your soul is still in Africa. How would you judge these 2 types of audiences? Africans, we are known to be loud and expressive and happy
expressive.
and communal. Are you
But also
missing
honest,
anything?
if they don't like it, they tell you immediately.
Oh,
That's
yes.
not true.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But I love that. But again, I enjoy all audiences, right? So I like my British audience as well, because everybody laughs about family, love. There's a lot of universal subjects which are funny everywhere. So I just enjoy comedy. I think I'll be doing it until I'm like 80, because it's my favorite.
It's something you like
My
doing.
favorite.
Yeah. I was about to ask, if you're not doing comedy, what would you be doing?
I probably would be, I'd either be a writer or be a journalist. For me, it's writing. It just happens that
It's
I'm writing
expressing
jokes,
yourself.
but I could be writing something else.
Are there instances when you went, with your comedy too far that you thought, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that or done that to the audience?
I've never felt I've gone too far, but audiences and governments and people have thought I've said too much. So, Hubert Angel's followers were very upset with some jokes I did about him in Zimbabwe. That was one case. There was a previous Malawi government who wanted to arrest me because of some of my jokes. We bribed people, it was fine. But I'm just saying, like, there are times that I have upset people watching. But that doesn't stop me. I just say what I think is funny. And the fact that it upsets people is just part of it.
The fact that it upsets people is just
Not
part of it.
everyone's got to laugh
No,
at the same
yeah.
things.
And I was about to ask, then you must be having a lawyer who's in charge of, like your legal,
Yes.
Yeah.
So exactly. So I've got a lawyer. I've got the phone number of Amnesty International. Like literally, I've done
Just in case.
I've done shows raising money for Amnesty, and they're always like, "You do all these shows for us, raising money. Thank you." I'm like, "No, thank you. This is an investment. One day, a dictator is going to arrest me, and you better do a campaign."
That campaign should be to free me
I'm
up.
ready. Okay.
What has been the highest point for you in your career?
So the highest point generally was probably when I did Britain's Got Talent, because that's the biggest audience I've had.
Yes.
That was when I became like quote unquote famous. But again, that doesn't really mean anything, but it was a great gig and I got a lot of fans. That was the biggest sort of mark globally. But for me personally, my high point, I remember the first time I did a one-man show in Malawi. That would be my high point that I think, even though it was just in a hotel and there were like maybe 500 people who came, but it was me doing my thing in my home country with my parents in the audience. That is my own personal high point, even though globally it would be just doing the
You're African.
yeah.
There is a tendency of, Africans exporting, their talents and all of that, not just in comedy, in football, in many other, areas. What do you have to say about that and the fact that you've been able to be in both worlds?
Well, I think there's a part of it where I am a diaspora baby. Like, I grew up in many different countries, cultural chameleon. So it's not that, I think I have had a very different path from someone who grew up all their life in Malawi and then left and was trying to make it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I've been traveling all my life, moving is just in my blood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even...
Are you a Gemini?
No, I'm Sagittarius. Are you like...
Yeah,
into
but
the
like...
stones and the stars?
Yeah,
and
yeah. I was asking that because, sometimes you get bored with just being in the same location and venue. So you just need to be all up.
I couldn't be in one country.
So proceed. You're saying something.
So I was saying that there are people who can be happy being in one place, in one small community. And then there are other people who, like, literally our blood is bubbling. We need to move, we need to travel, and that's me. I get bored. I get, but I also think I want to see other cultures, other values. I think the biggest thing you get from traveling is realizing that what's good and what's evil is different in different cultures, right? So there's something that's acceptable in Uganda that's not acceptable here, and vice versa. And that, I think, is the most interesting thing about being human.
I thought I may keep you a little bit warm, so don't mind about the style. Just mind that it fits. And
Okay.
I'll go you a little
Oh.
something.
Excellent.
All the way from Nairobi, Kenya.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I don't know. I hope it fits. Do I need to help?
Oh, no, this will fit. This will fit.
I just take it off.
Yeah. Only putting it up. Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
It's an XL. So I was really praying that you have grown bigger.
That's the opposite way.
There you go. Welcome to the family, Chaponda.
Okay. Okay. It's not muffled?
Yeah. Well, welcome to Traktion.
Yes.
And
Hello. Thank
I'm
you so
so
much.
glad to have you on the show.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I am now officially part of the family.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You can see how diverse, I don't know if we're going to have your arm and then Malawians will have your leg and the UK will have your head.
I'll tell you what's interesting though,
Yeah.
is I was born in Zambia. My family is Malawian, my blood's Malawian. But this has resulted into arguing online. No, he's ours. No, he's ours.
How do you feel about that?
It's fine. I'm everybody's, but it's just funny that before I became famous, Malawians would some Malawians would accuse me of not being a real Malawian because my accent
Was
is
different from
different.
theirs,
I
yeah.
don't speak Chichewa well. I've grown up in different countries. And I was like, you can't, we all define identity but in different ways, right? And for me, if you love your home country and it's what your parents are and it's the culture you love, you are from that country. But for some people, it's like, no, it's based on the music you listen to. It's all nonsense. This is why my show is called Citizen of Nowhere, because I think it's a game we play, right? Being African, every one of us defines it for ourselves.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate coming all the way from Manchester for us to meet, at a central place. I really appreciate.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Traktion.
Many thanks for watching the show today. Make sure you join us again next Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time, only on KTN News. If you have a story you'd like to share with us, don't hesitate. Write to us through globetraction@standardmedia.co.ke or DM us on our social media platforms at Globetraction or at KTN News KE. You can also tap that follow button to me on my social media platforms at Persil Telewa on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube for more of behind the scenes. But until then, I hope to catch up with you in whatever city you will be at. Bye-bye from the United Kingdom.